What's up, YouTube? Welcome to What's Brewing. My name is Chisha Zed.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
All right, so what's brewing? Well, we're back to this conversation, which I just spoke about not too long ago, concerning CORY HARDRICT and Tia Mowry. This is really interesting to me because it's also highly predictable that CORY HARDRICT is getting a reaction that most men would expect after opening up and being vulnerable about how he felt regarding his divorce. Now, it would have been a huge shock to everybody, including myself, if CORY HARDRICT came out and said, you know what? She's right. I graduated too. I'm happy that we got divorced. This is what I wanted. That would prove that I was wrong about how he felt based on how he was moving. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the comments. How are women reacting to a man who's expressing himself about an emotional experience that maybe most men wouldn't express themselves or express at all on a public platform? We're about to find out. The caption of this post reads, CORY HARDRICT opens up about struggling after divorce from Tia Mowry. It was a year and a half of crying myself to sleep every night. Now, that's a really descriptive way of describing a very emotional experience, what sounds like a difficult time. Now, let's be honest. Did he cry every single night? Highly unlikely. He was crying because he did not want to lose his family. And my question to you is, how do you think that the women reacted in the comment section? How do you think they acted? How do you think they reacted in the comment section? Well, let's check out this first comment that we can all see right here. This commenter says, I get a little nervous when Shade Room shows a grown man being vulnerable. This page can be brutal. Respect to him for opening up about it. This has over 5,000 likes. I assume these are mostly men who are commenting right here. Right under that is a rebuttal to CORY HARDRICT, right? Here, this commenter says she cried herself to sleep every night because she was miserable. Now, we know these chicks can easily slip, they can slip into this situation and imagine what it's like. Why? Because they've also, like half of the majority of the women today, ended their marriages and left, can slip into that situation and give their take on it. She goes on to say she was miserable in the marriage. He did the same after it was over. Both of their pain is valid. Okay, cool. At least she's acknowledging that both their pain is valid. Please don't pit them against each other or try to take sides. Just this post and the way it's written doesn't sound like somebody who's just comforting CORY HARDRICT as he is expressing himself. All right? Was it necessary to say, unless you're claiming that you are for the interest of the woman, right? Saying that and being like, all right, it's fair, don't take sides. You didn't even, let me say this. If a woman was to be on here crying, what they would expect from society is for them to validate their feelings. Here's somebody else who says, crying yourself to sleep while she on TikTok dancing is crazy. Here's somebody else who added, this man been crying and Tia over here crip walking to Kendrick Lamar. These are funny comments. I haven't read all these comments. These comments are kind of funny. But we're about to get to the other comments, which are the majority of the comments who were pretty much making fun of him for crying. This commenter says, crying myself to sleep every night for a year and a half, laying it on little thick there, brother. He says, stop it. This chick says, everything about her screams freedom. Clearly he was a burden. I don't know in what way, but I mean, she's happy. Let him tell his story and she'll continue to show hers. There's another chick who says, okay, how many nights did she cry? The F, right? And of course, somebody here is posting Tia Mowry drinking her alcohol. Somebody else here added, as beautiful as the sermon was, what you do to that lady. This gentleman says, he's bold as hell. Salute. We usually don't speak about stuff like this. This chick says, should have thought about that when you had her. Another person here says, she was the breadwinner. Obviously, you were bound to struggle. And what else do we have here? Cried yourself to sleep every night, huh? Okay, brother. Right, they're downplaying it. This chick here says, nobody believes you, Corey. Somebody else here added, not he cried himself to sleep every night. LOL. And like the lower, the popular comments that people are liking are like, hey, don't make fun of him. But the more you scroll down, the more you see that a lot of these chicks are just laughing at him for expressing himself. And so you may be asking, well, what's your point, Shisha? You laugh at women crying all the time. Fair. Fair. Here's the difference. Men's platforms, like myself, are one of the only ones where we're not going to just believe female tears just because it's a woman. The difference is men expect that if they express themselves emotionally, they will get laughed at. And women expect that if they express themselves emotionally and are vulnerable, society will comfort them. Why? Because that is exactly what happens. And so, should we try to fix society? I think you can raise awareness, but I also believe that men and women are different. And there's a reason why men are less emotional. You should not be as emotional as women. I'm not saying that you should never cry and a man never cries. That's crazy. I mean, even the people who, in the last video I released of CORY HARDRICT, were commenting saying, what's he talking about, crying himself asleep? Like they were making fun of him in the video I did on a platform for men where men should have a safer space to express themselves. That's wrong. You're never going to not get emotional in life as a man. Women say they want you to be more emotional, want you to express yourself. While that may be true, trust and believe that they don't want you to be more emotional than them. Drink the coffee.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
They do not want a man who's more emotional than them. Yes, part of the reason why CORY HARDRICT probably wasn't honest about what he was thinking, going through, and what he was experiencing, because he probably knew that he would get a lot of these type of responses, people who are laughing at him. Will that change? It can get better. Like we can see some of the top comments there. People were saying, hey, let's be more accepting of a man being vulnerable. True. But you can't completely change the reality of female nature and male nature. When I say that, I don't mean that bottle your emotions and never open up. But I respect him for not doing the Tia Mowry thing, the womanly thing to do, and going around talking about your relationship publicly. There's respect in that. I respect men who aren't the first one to cry and complain in their relationships. Can you at least not be the first one, right? Your goal should be, in the context of a man who has a family, let me not cry before my kid. Let me not cry before my wife. Let me at least be the last one to start crying. Now, society and other platforms that don't like male platforms will tell you that this is toxic. They will tell you that you should be the first to cry, even before your kids, even before your woman. Doesn't matter. But the reality is society isn't comfortable with seeing men be vulnerable and expressing themselves emotionally, which is why I encourage you have brotherhoods, close male friends. I mean, are we really surprised that they're laughing at CORY HARDRICT for expressing himself? No, we're not. Let's be honest. We're not that surprised as men. This is a crazy time to be vulnerable as a man. This is a crazy time to embrace your masculinity as a man, to be a strong man. This is crazy times. People do not like it. They don't like it. They want you taken down. These are hard times to be a woman who wants to embrace your femininity and wants a man in his masculine. These are tough times for that. All right, guys, a couple more things here I wanted to talk about. We are going to move on. We've got a guy here who's sharing when he knew that his marriage was over. Craziest story I think I've heard in a while. I'm wasting time. Let's get it.
So this is when I knew my marriage to my ex-wife was over. She came to me one day and said, how about we go on a vacation to Maui? You, me, and our 1.5-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
And although the thought of being on an airplane for 10 hours with a screaming toddler and a bad back didn't seem fun, there and back, so we're talking 2 10-hour trips, I could see the value in a trip like that, and I adored my son. So I said, yeah, sure, let's do this. Then she throws me this curveball. My parents want to come too. Well, listen, they'll pay their own way, but they want to come. And instead of getting a hotel out there, we're going to rent a house for 10 days. So you want me to be in a house with your mom
Right.
for 10 days. I didn't get along with my mother-in-law. My father-in-law was fine. My mother-in-law, we didn't see eye to eye. So I say to her, look, if I'm going to agree to do this, when we get back, I'm going to need to go on a vacation by myself. South Beach, Bermuda, something.
He needed a vacation from the vacation. He needed a vacation from the vacation.
She's like, what are you talking about? This is a vacation. I'm like, no, it's not. This is work. What you're describing is not a vacation. This is work. If you want me to do this, you got to give me that. She's like, you're being ridiculous. I'm going to book the trip tonight. I'm like, hold on, sister. Hold on. Give me a week. Let me gather some money together and then you can book the trip. She's like, fine. So in that week, I'm on Google actively looking for ways for me to break my own leg. Like, how can I break my leg painlessly, a non-weight bearing bone?
I want you guys to think about what he just said right there. Because when I first heard him say that phrase, he said, the next week I was trying to figure out how I was going to break my own leg. I thought he was figuratively speaking. I didn't think he actually meant he was trying to figure out how to actually break his own leg just so he doesn't go on vacation with his wife.
Put that coffee down.
He did not want to drink that coffee. I thought this was insane. If you didn't hear it, listen to it again.
Actively looking for ways for me to break. Let me gather some money together and then you can book the trip. She's like, fine. So in that week, I'm on Google actively looking for ways for me to break my own leg. Like, how can I break my leg painlessly, non-weight bearing bone? And I go to my mom and dad's house and I say to my mom, hey, do you think you could hit me with your car? And I tell her the story and she didn't like my mother-in-law either. She's like, son, if it's come to this, maybe your marriage might be over.
This is nuts. This is nuts. I don't think this is a parody page because Thunderleg24 is his username. I'm going to go check out his page. 5-time fantasy. This doesn't seem like a. Yeah, he has other stories. Getting served divorce papers. Going on vacation with my ex. I actually want to check this one out. This one looks like it has a lot of views. Let's finish up the other one. Crazy. Have you ever? Hold on. Have you ever heard a story like this?
With your car, and I tell her the story, and she didn't like my mother-in-law either. She's like, son, if it's come to this, maybe your marriage might be over. And ultimately, we didn't go on the trip. My wife found my search history and saw I was looking for ways to break my own leg, and she also saw some webcam stuff in there that maybe I shouldn't have had. But that's neither here nor there. And yeah, the marriage was over soon after.
This is nuts. This is crazy. Shit. I mean, if you're at the point where you're trying to physically harm yourself, then it probably is time. It's time to walk away. That's my thought. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Let's check out a few of these comments. Top comment says, don't give X access to you. Be firm and solid by saying no. This another person here says, this guy reminds me of that one guy on 90 Day Fiance. He says, which one? Mike Burke. Let me see. Mike Burke. Oh shit. Kind of do look similar. This is cousin. Hold on, I'm about to bring it up here on screen so you guys can see. So this is who they're saying he looks like. Kinda. Yeah, I can see it. This commenter says, try flying the family to Nova Scotia for a family vacation, and she lets it out that she wants a divorce so she can be with her new unemployed ex-con. What is it with these wives divorcing their husbands for a convict? And listen, I've said plenty of times on this channel that I don't look at somebody's criminal history, depending, and think that like your criminal history is who you are. There seems to be this like pattern with a lot of divorced women going after like bums, right? I'm not talking about somebody who's fixed their life and now they're married and now they're good. No. Straight bums, like ex-wife, leaves for guy who literally has no job and is struggling. What do you guys think about this? This commenter says, learn to say no. He should have said no. At this point, man, you got to be able to say no. At this point, oh yeah, we were going to check out his getting served divorce papers video. Let's check it out.
When I got served divorce papers by my soon-to-be ex-wife, I had this awful fear that I was going to have to spend a ton of money to find a lawyer for myself. I began making phone calls around the area. Nobody would even have a conversation with me for less than a $2,000 retainer. So I didn't want to spend that kind of money, so I got really upset. And then I read the paperwork of what I was sent. Her lawyer, first of all, misspelled my last name twice, which is her last name too, my ex-wife. So there's no excuse for that. And two, she listed our date of marriage as 2001. We got married in 2011. These are minor details, but this really went to prove that her lawyer was not detail-oriented and was sloppy. So I kind of felt a lot better about things. When things between my ex-wife and I calmed down in terms of emotion, I went to her and said, how about you and I have a conversation together around a kitchen table and figure out the custody arrangement and the child support? She said, fine. So for 4 hours, we hammered that out. We came out with a dollar figure that was good for me and her. And we did the whole, you have them this holiday, I have them that holiday. And we came to an agreement.
Right.
What else was there? We had 2 community assets together. The house, which there was nothing I was going to be able to do about that. It was going to be a 50-50 split. I was just going to have to eat that. And the furniture.
And I'm assuming that's because both of their names are on that house.
So we walked around the house and pretended to like every piece of furniture we had no interest in order to get the stuff we really wanted. It's like, no, you can have the bed, but I really want that sofa. Okay, fine, you can have the sofa. The only thing that was real fear for me was my sports card collection. I was always afraid she was going to try and go after that because I had like graded Jordan rookie card, Reggie Jackson, Roger Staubach. But I had a nuclear option. She had a big 401k and I didn't. So I always knew I could play that ace up my sleeve if she ever played the sports card thing. She never did. So the day of the divorce, I walk into court. I don't have a lawyer. I'm feeling a little odd about that. I meet her lawyer coming out of the bathroom and she had corduroy pants on and coffee stains on her pants. So I'm like, okay, this is not going to be bad.
See, if your lawyer has coffee stains on the pants, then, it means something. It does mean something. People think presentation doesn't matter. It does. It does matter. And by the way, this is a great example for a lot of guys and women who think it doesn't matter, that people do look at you and judge you based on how you present yourself. And good luck on trying to change the world and everybody else. Be angry all you want. Beat your chest. It is what it is. Let's keep listening.
So I go in front of the judge. I answer 5 questions. Yes. He hits the gavel and said, I'm divorced. Free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty. I'm free at last.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all. It seems like in most cases, attorneys do advise, if you're able to, at least the good ones, if you're able to work things out with the person who you're divorcing, then that's the route that you should take. It's the cheapest route for sure. Top comment says, who wears corduroy pants to court? He responded and says, someone who is bad at her job. And somebody else here says, who even wears corduroy period anymore? I don't even hate them, but no one wears them. Corduroy pants. You know who used to wear corduroy pants? My dad. Back in the day, right? That was a back in the day thing. And I haven't seen him since. And I'll probably make fun of him if I saw him wear him today. This comment says, half of a 401k is yours whether she wants to split it or not. And he says, I let it go. This is interesting because I think a lot of people are going to be like, why would you do that? This person says, I mean, it's not his money. Let's be honest. Nah. See? Somebody else here says, it does not matter. The law is the law. This person says, right, but just because the law says you can doesn't mean you should. Marriage laws are stupid as it is. That's why a lot of women are able to take everything from a man because of him. Here's the thing. You will never see these conversations being had within a woman's group chat comment section where she's expressing that she lets something go. First of all, she's not letting the 401k go, no. And you're not going to get somebody who's saying, you took too much. This just shows you how men are less greedy when it comes to splitting these assets. Somebody else who says, what do you mean? No one would have a conversation for less than 2K. No one does consults. I was curious about that because the first thing I thought was usually a first consult is free. But maybe he actually meant after the initial, like 30-minute consultation, right? Somebody else here says she was probably very happy to give the cards to you if it meant keeping the 401k. He says that Jordan card by 2020 was worth 60 grand. It isn't worth that today, but in 2020, during the peak of COVID, it was sky high. Now, probably not worth that much anymore. Somebody else here says the moral of the story is you were paying attention, good on you. Yeah. I also remember the story of the attorney who said she went through a divorce. This is an attorney. And she said she just did the math really quickly and said, yo, I'm not even going to go the lawyer route. It'd be cheaper for me to pay this person and come to an agreement because she took her emotions out of the situation, which a lot of people cannot do and end up spending an arm and a leg. Another older feminist woman giving horrible advice on TikTok. So this video is captioned, best time for a young woman to choose a husband is in her 30s. Again, just another elderly woman giving horrible advice. Once again, let's get it.
The best time for a young woman to commit to a relationship or to get married is when she's in her 30s. When a woman is in her 30s, she's in the fourth cycle of her life. When a woman is in her 30s, she's more emotionally intelligent. When a woman is in her 30s, she has a strong sense of self, a foundation of who she is, where she belongs, or where and who she wants to be. When a woman is in her 30s,
she is more difficult. She's less willing to change, compromise, adjust, and cooperate with the man. She's approaching geriatric pregnancy. There's a whole lot. What else has she been doing before her 30s? And when in her 30s? Mid-30s? Late 30s?
she's more intellectual, mature. When a woman is in her 30s, she's more financially stable. When a woman is in her 30s, she no longer see relationship just as a romantic fairy tale, but she will choose a partner not only based on where she is in her 30s, but a partner who is going to continue to go with her 10, 20, and 30 years down the line. When a woman is in her 30s, and if she decides to have a child, she will be a better mom because she's going to be more intellectual and emotionally mature. When a woman is in her 30s, she knows that choosing a partner is one of the most serious choice, a most important choice you will ever have to make. And so when a woman is in her 30, she have the emotional maturity and the mindset to choose a partner who is going to continue to grow and grow with her, and that will reduce the higher level of divorce and breaking up, because a woman is emotionally intellectual mature at that time to make that decision. All right, make sure to like and follow for more.
Oh my gosh, this is sad. This is sad, man. She ended it by saying that's what's going to help stop divorces, is women getting married later on in life. So in 2023, the Census Bureau said that the median age of women getting married was around 28 years old. There are already problems or challenges that people are facing due to the fact that people are getting married later on in life. One thing that I just can't get through my head when I'm listening to this woman talk and other women like her is they really speak like the woman is the one who chooses whether the marriage actually happens. Let's check out some of these comments. Top comment says, which woman is young by 30? This chick says, now that I'm in my 30s, I'm glad I was never married in my 20s because I would have been divorced because I had no sense at all. Somebody else here says, me at 29 with no man, no kids, no prospects. Yep. There you go. I mean, it doesn't get better after 30 as far as prospects for a woman. There's clear data to support this, guys. This is not just me talking. Somebody else here says, married at 34 and now I'm 38. I love it here. Best decision I could have made. Exception and not the rule. Another person here says, me seeing this at 33. Now, she's probably getting a lot of positive feedback because this is what women want to hear, right? It's don't take it seriously and don't prioritize on finding a man. Here's another video of her responding back to this comment that says she's another feminist misleading women with her nonsense. Men prefer younger women in their 20s. Check it out.
She is another feminist misleading women with her nonsense. Men prefer younger women in their 20s. Every time somebody called me a feminist, I am so honored because the feminist movement did so much things for women because women didn't have the right to vote. They didn't have the right over their own autonomy, over their body. They could be sold off like cattle. They were constantly assaulted. And when a woman speak up, a man or her father could say the woman is crazy and they will lock the woman up in a mental hospital and that woman is never being seen again. So it's because of the feminine movement I am here.
To be fair, what she's talking about there, they could do that to anybody, which is, by the way, why now today you can't just, if someone's like mentally unstable, they're having a episode psychosis, you can't just say, hey, get this person, take them away, they need help. You can't do that with anybody. But yes, women were pretty vulnerable to their husbands doing that to them in the past. Was it progress? I think overall that probably was a good decision. Let's keep listening.
Telling you this on TikTok. All right. So thank you so much for the honor. And so what he's saying that men prefer women in their 20s, of course, because the woman is younger. The woman is not emotionally mature. The woman still see the world as this fairy tale. And men love to take advantage of that because the woman don't yet understand her power as a woman.
This never marry a feminist, gentlemen. And when I say that, I mean the evolved definition of feminism.
right? And so she's going to fall all googly for the man. And then later on, when she's in her 30s or when she's like 28 and she realized like, hey, this romantic relationship or this romantic fallacies that I thought that man was the savior, the provider, was coming to rescue me and I was going to live happily ever after. That is not true. And so that is why men like to get women in their 20s, because the woman is not less intellectual and emotionally mature, and the women don't have a strong sense of self.
Unbelievable. 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 What has feminism turned into? Here's a discussion that they don't want men to have.
Feminism is not about equality anymore. It's about crushing the patriarchy. It's about women gaining the upper hand over men. That's not equal.
Oh, you're another beleaguered male.
I'm not a feminist. You can believe in equality, right? But you don't have to be a feminist to believe it. And if this man is saying he's not a feminist, he might well be saying, I don't believe in crushing the patriarchy. I don't believe in creating an environment that's negative for men.
I understand that you're actually half my age and you perhaps haven't been around quite long enough to understand what feminism literally means in its legal defined context. What's happened since you grew up is that the culture wars have taken words like feminism and they've injected them with all kinds of potency, which actually are deeply unhelpful to the cause of equality and the cause of women.
If I don't identify with that word then, which has been injected with all of this politics, am I being discriminatory? If I say in the workplace that I don't believe in DEI...
Well, according to a lot of institutions who want to take down male platforms, you are, if you don't identify with the evolved definition of feminism, which is just basically, if it's masculine, if it encourages men to be strong, it's evil, take it down.
Am I saying that I don't believe in racial equality? Of course I'm not. I'm saying that I don't believe in the politics of DEI. I don't believe in the politics of feminism. How is that discriminatory?
Well, I think what we need to do is divorce the definition of feminism from the way in which you clearly see some individuals as using it as a tool to whip the likes of you with and your rights with. I will go back to read the Oxford Dictionary definition of feminism, the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes.
Very interestingly, when I looked it up in the Oxford Dictionary, it says you should pronounce it feminism, which seems to have gone out of fashion. And I think that's
Well, that was before even I was born.
But I think that's Mutaz's point, that words evolve, and actually what you're saying about a dictionary definition is all perfectly fair and true, but Mutaz's point is absolutely spot on. It has become a political advocacy of something. I'm all in favour, strongly in favour, of equality before the law. I think it is
Same here. I'm all in favour of women having equal opportunity.
The most fundamental principle of British law. But that doesn't mean that I believe that there is equality of all genders. I don't actually think there are more than two genders anyway. And this judge is on about there being a whole slew of genders. That's very odd, isn't it?
All right, so that's that. That's that. You know what? Let's check out a few comments here in response to that. Top comment says, men and women have equality. There's no evidence women are treated in a lesser way than men. Feminism now is about having power over men. Feminism has ruined our society, this commenter says. Somebody else here says, I believe modern day feminism have completely lost the meaning of feminism. They aren't fighting for equality anymore, but women's superiority. Somebody else here says, oh, Jesus Christ, woman, don't tell men what feminism is. We understand how it hurts men on a daily basis. All right, so moving on here. Why are men in the church becoming more feminine? Why are men in the church becoming more feminine? No more waste of time. Let's check it out.
I'm not trying to offend anyone, and probably will because I'm always offending somebody. But what is it with the pastors and the people, the men in the church, looking and like talking? Like that's the first thing. I don't want to say looking. right? The first thing is the mouth. Like the way they talk, it has a little sass in it. Why are you sassier than me? And they have large followings. I've been to a church like that. I've been to multiple churches like that, right? Where I'm like, this man has a little bit, I mean, men have sass, right? But the sass bar went over a little bit. Okay, and then it comes to the dressing. The clothes are so tight, and then they have and it be the ones that they call themselves prophet and apostle and stuff like that. That's why I'm just like, all right, bro. But the pastors, their clothes are tight fitting, and do you? But also for me, like that's not what I want, and that's okay. And if that's okay.
All right, so she listed a few things there that she was complaining about, where she noticed that a lot of men in church are becoming more feminine. And the question is why? What do you guys think? Check out some of these comments. Top comment says, clothes, especially clothes, are fitting tighter because everyone wears fast fashion, and it is easier and cheaper to make clothes with less panels. Somebody else here added, because their target audience is women, they have to find a way to be subconsciously relatable. This is very, 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 very true. Very true. You go to a church, man, women are outnumbering men like crazy. Especially if it's one of these mega churches. The women outnumber the men. And how many times have I played a video of these pastors just pandering on the pulpit? Just pandering. The Devon Franklins and other pastors, their messages are clearly tailored to a female audience. So she responded to that comment about their target audience are women. Here's what she had to say.
So this is a really good point. And I have experienced that myself. One of the churches that I've recently gone to, so I have two experiences, from two churches I've really been a part of. And the first one was amazing. That's where I really got on fire for the Lord. They weren't pressed about money. It was there that I was led. I'm like, wait, I'm not tithing. I need a tithe, right? And giving to the church. But then there was change in leadership, and then that's when they started asking for money. But I was supporting it because we were in a smaller building and the church was expanding because it's just a great church, so you understood that. But then next church I go to, it's just money, money, money. And then they really press on it, and I started to fall into it. But it's also because I was believing the vision, but they got you to be emotionally connected. And then also too, what I felt is that I don't want to say I was targeted, but when you dress a certain way, you carry yourself a certain way, and then when people start talking to you, they're like, oh, you do this, you do that, and they're like, oh, well, this could be somebody who could, benefit the church financially. And it was like, they didn't do a good job of hiding it. And I was just like, what?
I want to focus on what she said earlier of they connected with her emotionally.
But also too, what I wanted to say was, one, not all churches are like this. Not all pastors are like this. Not all men of God are like this.
That's true.
No, but it's just an observation that I have made, and it's quite concerning because I don't see people talking about it. And but I see it a lot, via social media, because that's how we see a lot of things. But another thing that I was thinking about is that it's hard to pick on the clothes, right? Because what I have noticed is that, or what we have all can notice, is that the fashion industry, look how the fashion industry has changed as a whole, not, in the church, right? As a whole. And look how it's gone for men. It's becoming to be, we're having men wearing dresses and skirts. We're not used to that. And society is telling us okay, that's okay. But is it? And
society, yes. And women support a lot of these men who wear skirts. If you're somebody who identifies as trans, I personally don't care what you do. I think where it becomes weird for me is when you see them pushing these images onto men who, as a whole, don't really identify. So, for example, you see this a lot in like rap. You know, it's real popular for rappers to paint their nails. And of course, the younger men are watching this and being influenced. If you, as a man, say, hey, it's okay to not wear a dress, it's okay to be a man and be masculine, now you are seen as evil, right? You're seen as somebody who is against progress. Like, why is it that progress is men wearing skirts and progress cannot be men embracing their masculinity? There's a very, very obvious, on every aspect of our society, an obvious hatred for masculinity from both men and also women.
Because a man wears man clothes. It's in the word. Pretty sure it's in like Leviticus, right? Mm-hmm. So the fashion industry and how you see that emasculation of the men, you see that carrying on in the fashion industry, and then that goes on into the church. So if Satan's infiltrating the church through fashion, what else can he be doing? We already know he's in the church, but like, you know, there's more things that come to it. It's like, it's underlying things, you know, that turn into big things. And, you know, I'm going to speak my mind about it. People are going to disagree. But if we don't have the conversations, then like, you know, what's going to happen?
All right, guys, that is it for this particular segment of What's Brewing. Of course, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. I appreciate you as always for checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pot to Sound About. Peace.